Okay. All right. I believe that we are live. Let me edit one thing. I think I'm going to take out this one right now. Okay. Okay. All right, guys, we are live. So, first of all, I'm very excited to do this live tonight. Been waiting for quite a quite a while for to get this going, and maybe you can kind of give us some insight as to why it's taken a while for us to have this meeting. But what I would like to do is kind of get right into it, about the Liberia Heals initiative. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask a couple questions, and Sue is just going to answer some questions, and then at the end we're going to watch a little video. I will actually put that video into um, the web talk, into the news feed, into this post, so that people can watch the video. And then actually I'll probably just post it by itself so that people can share it. So take that post when we do post the Liberia Heals video. Take that link, put it on your news feed, share it. Let's get it out there. Let's let people see it. Without further ado, Batu, go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about you and what's going on with Liberia.
Well, I just want to first give thanks and praises to the Most High Yah for this opportunity today, and thank you, Andy, and Teacher Tim, and the whole community of organizations and on the social media that is viewing this. Um, as Futu, I'm actually an activist, an artist, somebody who has dedicated his life to doing something positive, especially as it relates to the nation of Liberia, West Africa, which is where my native homeland, my family is from. And today we're gonna just touch on some, history of Liberia, and then go into some of the challenges that Liberia has experienced over the years, and then talk about what we are doing. Me and brother Jaws of a Living King, and others who've come together to see how best we can make a impact in our nation of Liberia, West Africa.
All right. So what is kind of the I guess the background of Liberia? Give us some backgrounds, a little bit of history of Liberia, because something that I in talking to you that I've kind of learned is that Liberia and the United States are actually connected. So give us a little bit of history about that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. As you can see, this flag right here, a Lone Star right here, you see there's a resemblance between, this is the Liberian flag. There's a resemblance between the Liberian flag and the American flag. And, I'm holding this flag. This is one of my signatures as an artist and a speaker. I often go about, I have the Liberian flag just to kind of help remind people of the history between Liberia and America. And it's a history that date back to the early 1800s, and what it is that around that time, in the early 1800s, before actually the end of slavery or the abolition of slavery in America, there was a conversation in during that era about how the how to deal with the African American population or growing number of free African Americans and You know, there was slave revolts and revolutions that were going on. And around that time, um, some of the elites at that time saw an opportunity to repatriate some of the portion of African Americans at that time to some of the part in West Africa, and so this happened in the American Colonization Society, which was formed in 1816. There were already movements of people who were repatriating formerly enslaved Africans in the Western Hemisphere that was going back to Africa. You also had Freetown in next door Sierra Leone. But this American Colonization Society, was an organization that, was, sponsored by some people who had some money in the States. And, they facilitated the process, and Liberia eventually gained its independence in 1847. In 1847, and so a stark contrast with some of the other African nations which got their independence in the 1960s. So that's over 100 plus years. So when you see and hear about Liberia it has this star, which it represents the Lone Star at the time, which Liberia represented the only African nation aside from also Ethiopia. But at least as a modern democratic republic, it was the first modern African republic. And that was in 1847. And so since that time, is a nation that had definitely had its ups and downs over the years. But we're at a time right now where Liberia is celebrating the bicentennial year, which from 1822 to 2022, which the original settlement that later on grew into the nation that we call Liberia was established. So in 1822 there was a settlement, and this is a 200-year anniversary, and that's why Liberia is celebrating the bicentennial. So you might hear some stories and see a lot of conversations or articles, especially in coming weeks and months. So that's a general history of Liberia. It's a whole lot more, but it's a general history.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what might be a couple interesting facts that we would like to, that you'd like to share with us? Something that is kind of interesting about Liberia that people would be excited to hear about.
Wow. Well, some interesting facts. I'll just go with a few. Liberia actually had the largest plantation of rubber, and Firestone tires. Firestone is a company that most people know for their tires, and in 1926 there was actually an agreement between Harvey Firestone, who there was a settlement. There was a rubber plantation in Ohio at the time, and around that time, Britain was kind of like on the forefront of the rubber industry, and at the same time, the 1920s, that there was the Great Depression. But there was a deal that was made with the Liberian government at that time, which ended up providing Firestone with a huge allotment of land in Liberia, and that really had a significant effect on the American economy. It helped America get out of the Great Depression. and actually helped to make America be a lead in rubber. And that's from Firestone. Now, the other flip side is that, unfortunately, there were some, challenges with that loan, and it was a 100-year lease, and some of the things that were some of the everything did not really go as planned, over the course of in the decades that will follow. But yeah, so that's Liberia. That's one interesting fact. When you think Firestone, you think Liberia, Firestone plantations. And another very interesting fact is Liberia played a very pivotal role in all of the world wars. World War I, World War II. Liberia's airport, Robertsfield Airport, was actually a military base for America during World War II. So there's a very keen, there's and then also Liberia had a tie-breaking vote to help usher to establish the nation of Israel at the end of World War II. It gave the tie-breaking vote in 1947. So there are more facts, things that the world or many people may not know about Liberia, and it was very important. I appreciate the question because some of the facts that Liberia that is embedded within Liberia history is kind of like overshadowed in this time, in this generation. We often hear about the war and Ebola and things of that nature, but we don't understand, hear some of the other facts about Liberia.
That's pretty cool. I had no idea about Firestone being in Liberia. That's kind of interesting because I mean you just think of Firestone tires have just been around forever, and so that's actually really cool. I had no idea about that. So you did just kind of mention a little bit about Ebola. Can you give us a little bit more information about Ebola, kind of like the effects of Ebola, and also the war that was going on in Liberia as well?
Yeah. So Liberia, the cultural makeup, of Liberia is pretty much very diverse. You have, some of the groups of those who left the Americas, as I shared a little bit earlier, along with some of the native tribes that were already there as well. And so, at some point, cultural differences and, kind of, were present, even since from the inception of Liberia's founding. And but then in the 70s, 1970s, the leadership of the country, of the nation, that was also around the time that, the Cold War was going on. And around that time, the leadership, kind of was taking a neutral stance and just trying to open up the dialogue with everybody, and also championing talking about the apartheid going on. And so Liberia kind of got caught up in the web of what was going on geopolitically, and then mixed with some of the internal issues that were going on in the country. And what ended up happening is there was a coup in 1980. There was a military rule for a certain point of time, and then a president came in, another president came in, and there was just a lot of things that occurred that ended up just kind of somersaulting into an eventual all-out civil war and a power grab, power struggle, I would say. Different factions different groups, and unfortunately, you had one of the most tragic things that to come out of that, which, kind of like almost like a unfortunate signature of the Liberian Civil War, is the emergence of the child soldiers, who, like you had kids as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, toting around AKs and, assault rifles and, fighting a war, and, a lot of people died, a lot of, men, women, children. It caused Liberians to flee into neighboring countries and also in the diaspora and around the world. And that's something that, from like the late 80s to 90s into the early 2000s, on and off, a civil war, a lot of strife and political turmoil. And then, thankfully by around 2003, there was some semblance of, peace, and eventually there was election held, a democratic election held, and there was a installation of a new president in 2005, 2006, and it was kind of like starting again, and then by 2014, unfortunately, the Ebola crisis, which I've been saying recently, like before the Corona case, the Corona crisis, a few years earlier, there was the Ebola crisis that was on our TV screens, and people were hearing about it. So a lot of the things that happen with Corona, things getting shut down and people walking around, masks and all of those are things that was familiar to the Liberian, Sierra Leone, and Guinean population in 2014, 2015. And again, very devastating, a lot of loss of life, a lot of kids became orphans. And so it's a lot of pain and struggle within the last few decades with the Liberian people, home and abroad. And that's what kind of led some of us to kind of see what we could do, about the situation where I think we're going to get into.
Yeah, that kind of segues right into it. So with all the different things that have gone on in your country, you guys have kind of created this initiative, the Liberia Heals Initiative, and I think that people have heard a little bit about it, but what is Liberia Heals, as well as what is it kind of doing for your country, and then what do you think people could do to help support Liberia Heals?
Indeed, appreciate the question there. So as I just kind of gave a background of some of the, the very significant challenges that Liberians have gone through in the last several decades, and the effects of the wars and the Ebola crisis was devastating, and it caused a lot of pain and trauma, and also kind of like some resentment and frustration and anger, and when some of us were kind of like observing, especially at the end, like when at the end of the war, and and like coming back into semblance of normalcy. There were some of us who kind of were observing and looking at Liberia, and then also what's going on in diaspora. And although there was something called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the TRSC, which was pretty much an effort that was a project with the Liberian government and some the NGOs and the international community. that was something that was established to kind of seek justice and, address the issue of, kind of bringing people together. We saw that there was some aspects of, of what needed to be done as far as it relates to reconciling that were kind of left, that were left out, and so a group of us, me, Brother Jaws, who you're gonna see in a video here, and lady by the name of Vicky Ward, God rest her soul. We kind of like were on like Facebook. Facebook was just starting around in 2000, like more Liberians were getting on Facebook in 2008, 2009. And something that we noticed was that like this was the first time that Liberians on a mass level were coming together. And you were like people were becoming reunited, with people who they hadn't seen since the war. And like families, relatives, and friends, but also at the same time, people who were like enemies at one point during the war were also reconnecting. And so for example, you would have people who were on Facebook and having their new lives, and but like 10, 15 years ago, they were somebody who was on the front end of a war, you know what I mean? And there was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of fighting and arguments that were arising on social media, especially on Facebook, And so we recognized that I and V Ward and Jaws, sometimes we would end up being like peacemakers on Facebook, because we observed that it was not just a matter of fighting with each other, but there was a lot of unhealed wounds. There was a lot of things that weren't talking about as a people. And so when we noticed how, I as a peacemaker recognized somebody else as a peacemaker, we started huddling up, and, we felt like there was opportunity, if you will, to form something that would specifically deal with the effort of bringing the Liberian people together in this post-war era. And the result of that led to what we know and what we call the Liberia Heals Initiative, which we formally established it in 2012. And the structure and strategy and the mindset was that, okay, if the Liberian people went through the war together and felt all this pain together, perhaps we can bring the Liberian people together by healing together. No matter who you were, no matter who you are, no matter what you went through, there was a pain, there was a trauma that you went through. And if this is going to be the thing that's going to bring the Liberian people together, then so be it. Let's heal together as a unit. So we kind of had a unique way of bringing of forwarding that effort, that message through music, the cultural arts. We have a plan to erect a healing memorial, a monument, just like they have the Veterans Memorial in the States and other, sites that people can go to kind of get closure or to, bring people together. And then also to have workshops that would talk about PTSD, talk about, the challenges that people go to, like something that people might not think about it. Like, I have family members that, like, the first time they went to a July 4th celebration in the States, fresh out of the war and hearing all the firecrackers, they would go crazy because of the trauma of like gunshots, just relating it to gunshots, and those are like a toaster jumping, going up, all of a sudden, these are things that sometimes we don't think of, but it affects people. So the Liberia Heals Initiative was able to kind of be able to kind of talk about these conversations, give a safe space to the people. And we did that both in Liberia, in Liberia and in the States. And so it's become like a movement, if you will, where one of the groups in Liberia, or one of the groups of the population that has been drawn to Liberia Hills is the former child soldiers who have like grown up now, and many of them have had a difficult time getting back, being accepted by the population, because a lot of people recognize them and know the history. And some of these, they become like, get involved in type of crimes and things for survival's sake. And what we do with Liberia Hughes, we have a arm of Liberia Hughes that deals with them specifically and kind of help give them skills in the peer mediation, conflict resolution, and we call them peace ambassadors. So it's like you have people who once were used as killing machines, and now, we're helping them move them, in a direction of being peace ambassadors and apologizing to the society, and, giving the general society a large opportunity to, for forgiveness and understanding, so, Brother Jaws, who you will see in the video, is somebody who, he's been back in Liberia. He was here in the States for a good amount of years, and went back in 2010 to kind of help and ensure that this vision will go far, and I of course been over there to help, but we've been working on both sides. Me working a lot with the diaspora, who are longing to go back, who have been separated from family, and then we have the people on the ground. So the video that we're gonna see is of, one of the efforts, one of the projects, which, a lot of, some of the things we do is work with the young kids, the new generation, sharing with them the history of Liberia, what went on, and teaching them the lessons, teaching them, what not to do, where Liberia came from, and what Liberia should not go again, and how this new generation can be different. So we do have a video that we're going to share with, which was sponsored by, somebody in the, who came across our videos, and reached out, and asked a little bit more questions and he wanted to help, and he said, that he didn't, he really don't have a whole lot, but he sees what we're doing, and if there's something that we can do with what he was able to help with, that it will be great. And he had a business, he had a brand. He said, what, that's one of what we do. Like when anybody helps or contributes in some way, as a way to reciprocate, we give them a shout, and promote their brand, something that they can use for, like, if it's a business, for their corporate social responsibility, just showing some of the positive things that they are doing, and it's good for branding purposes and everything. At the same time, it's making a very great difference in the country as well. So Liberia Hughes has definitely been something that has been helpful, stopped a lot of recent situations from getting out of hand in the country. And it's a critical time now. There's another election that's coming up next year, and there's some things and popping up, and that's kind of like why it took so long for us to get back. Been months, and we've just been regrouping and trying to make sure that Liberia doesn't regress and go backwards. So what you're going to see is an example of some of the things that we do, to kind of make sure that Liberia goes in the right direction.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play this video when I hit play or whatever. If one of you could give me the thumbs up that you actually hear it, I believe it'll be set up and it's going to work. But basically, we're going to watch the video, and I think you're actually going to see his brand pop up a couple times, right?
Yeah.
So one, that'll be nice to, to share that brand, but then also to see what he was doing. He was donating, and the kids got something from that. And so yeah, we'll watch this video, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit more about what people can do in relation to Liberia Heals. So let me see here.
So shout out to the.
Let me see here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute myself, and then I'm going to hit play, and if you can hear it, just give me a thumbs up here.
Sure.
All right, so what I'm going to do is
how are you
I'm going to mute myself, and then I'm going to hit play, and if you can hear it, just give me a thumbs up here.
You might just want to put on mute out or the mic.
My bad. I'm on the wrong video. Let's see here. Oh, it should be. Okay. All right, let me try this. Okay.
Yes, sir. How are you today? What's your name? Jim A. Sefa. Jim A. Sefa. Thank you. And for those of y'all who know your names, Jim. Yes, sir. How are you today? Who you got here? What's your name? Jim A. Sefa. Jim A. Sefa. What's up, world? And for those of y'all who know your names, Jim. Yes, sir. How are you today? Who you got here? What's your name? Jim A. Sefa. Jim A. Sefa. What's up, world?
Is it not working?
Those of y'all who know your names, Jim. Yes, sir. How are you doing? Who you got here? What's your name? Jim. Jim. How are you? What's up, world?
Is it not working?
Those of y'all who know what's your name? Jim. Yes, sir. How are you? Who you got here? What's your name? Jim. Jim. How are you? What's up, world?
Is it not working?
What's your name? Yes, sir. How are you? What's your name?
Is it not working?
What's your name? How are you? What's your name?
Is it not working?
What's your name? How are you? What's your name?
Is it not working?
Okay.
I think it's messing up, isn't it?
It was the feedback.
Yeah.
That's going on.
Let me, because I think what it is that it's picking up our broadcast. Okay, let me try. All right, guys, let me try this one more time. And I think this is gonna work this time. Yeah, so give me a little thumbs up, or yeah, just give me a thumbs up if it's sounding correct this time.
Sure.
Yes, sir. How are you today?
Oh, not bad. I'm Jim Safa.
What's your name?
Jim A.M. Safa.
Jean A. Sefa. Thank you. And for those of y'all who know Liberia use the movement, you know what's up. Who we got here? Yeah, what's up, world? Shout out Charles Everly King, live and direct from LIB. And we are thankful today. Yeah, today, so what you are able to get today?
Let me rest with my song. Father, I pray that God will bless me and give more. God will help us again.
Through a special donation from the Slipper Guru, we were able to distribute some rice today. We thank the Clipper Guru for his contribution. Okay, say hello. Hello. Say thank you. I will cut it. What's your name? Tito, where you coming to do with your own arrest? You going cooking? Okay, you get rest and you get what? Where are you cooking your own? Come. Somebody sow a seed. Brother Cooper, you sow a seed. And God touched his heart to make a contribution for this distribution here to be successful. What you are looking at here is small, it's great. What you got me do with your red? You going to cook it? Your fish dry, right? What you got there? What you got here? Some water. We want y'all to walk with us. And, not so much we want y'all to see what's going on, but we just want y'all to know that there are meaningful citizens out there who are working behind the scenes for the betterment of our nation. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the spotlight. What you on your knee? Praise, wow. What you coming to do with your own arrest? All right, say thank you, Mr. Guru.
Thank you, Mr. Guru.
Okay, say we love you. Talk it now.
Thank you, Mr. Guru. Hello, thank you.
What you coming to do with your own arrest? You going to cook?
Yes.
You happy?
Yes.
Okay. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully you guys can hear that. I know it was a little messed up, but hopefully you can hear it, and I will post it later.
Yeah. Just just like you can hear it? Yeah, I mean, the thing about it sometimes is like, like it's crazy because a lot of those kids sometimes they don't have like a decent decent meal, a real good decent meal, and like those type of gestures right there, like it's a big deal. They really like they still talking. That was several weeks ago, but they still talk about it. And unfortunately, the way the country has been set up is like, the um the amount of money that people get, per day, you know what I mean, versus, to feed oneself, go to the store. It's really difficult. Some, these kids, they go to sleep hungry a lot, So what we do, these things right here is like, if somebody helps, it could be an individual or it could be an organization, it could be a group. We let them know, as you can see, letting the person know, the brand Clipper Guru. Hey, we love the Clipper Guru. If this is somebody who, he plans. I mean, he's of Liberian background as well, and he's planning to go back at a certain point. But it's been like 30 years since he's been in Liberia. The founder of Clipper Guru, or his name is Clipper Guru. He has a company, and when he goes back, he's not ready to go back and make that leap yet, but he's like, when he go back, he's, people are gonna know him, remember, oh, Clipper Guru, I remember, and so that's what we do for on one of the things, like for people who may not ready to make a leap or may not even plan to go to Liberia, but they have a brand or something, and it's just, I mean, this thing moved him to tears. He just didn't know, he just felt so good about it, and he moved to maybe to jump to help again, when he gets the opportunity. And these are things that we partner up, sponsorship with organization groups, individuals, and like have something for $250 or $500, for individuals, $25, $50, $30 can get a whole bag, of rice, and it can feed, good 10, 15 people. So we try to, show people how, I won't say easy, but what one might think that it's not a lot, it can make a big difference and everything like that. And so that's how we've been able to kind of like really motivate and make change, by kind of making it, simple and plain, showing people how simple it is, what can be done, So so shout out to Clipper Guru and the other folks. And I see that we have various brands represented in this community that on the platform. And I think that there's a great potential, for whatever platform or brand to grow, once you get that interpersonal connection with the people on the ground and know your name, and know what, how these groups or brand is, is helping them, it's affecting them,
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is, it doesn't take that much to help. And I think that sometimes people think that, well, you have to do so much to help anybody, but you really don't. So I guess kind of ending this tonight is, I don't want to probably, I can hear it. I can hear my voice.
Yeah, echo.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe
let me go on mute for a little bit. Maybe you can.
Okay. So basically, what I think is awesome is that we really do have an opportunity, and I don't really want to get into it too much. I know we're going to have more lives and stuff, and so we'll talk a little bit more about how Refer Life and Web Talk will be two things that we can do to help support Liberia Heals. whether it be from people in the States or someone else. What I think we'll do is talk about, next time we'll talk about the different profiles, whether they're in Web Talk or Refer Life, if people want to support, if they want to, support Web Talk of, just likes, comments, things like that. That supports, and then in Refer Life, different, CFA packages and stuff like that, so that we can kind of start generating some revenue. I know that we're doing stuff with Uganda right now. Tim has been doing a lot. Tim and Anders have been doing a lot in Uganda with some orphanages and stuff like that. And so what I think, for tonight, I think it's just great to have this awesome introduction to, Liberia Heals, the different initiatives, the kind of the goals and things that you're working towards. And I know that you want to do more lives and do some more things with this. So that's what I think would be awesome to do. I think this is perfect amount of time just to get that background and get a little bit of history and see a little bit about Liberia and what's going on with that. So what I would say is, as people are watching this, if you're watching this on the news feed, copy the link to this video, and I'll put the other video link up too. Copy these links, put them on your news feeds, and just blast this all over the place. Here's a great thing that we can support as web talkers, as people who may be watching the YouTube channel, different groups, things like that. We can start supporting and showing, how pretty much every country could be doing the same thing with Web Talk and Refer Life, building up their country, bringing their country in, having people start supporting and building this kind of community of helping. So this isn't the last live that you're going to see about Liberia. We're definitely going to have some more lives and give some more information. So with that being said, like I said, we'll work on setting up those profiles. I'm pretty sure you already have a Liberia Heals in Web Talk, but we'll set up a profile of Liberia Heals in Refer Life, and I think the next time then we'll kind of show that and show links and different things that if people want to get involved or donate or whatever they want to do, we can start building that. So do you have any kind of last words that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I just want to once again, thank you, Teacher Tim, and the folks watching the Web Talk and Refer Life and wherever platform this on right now, for just taking a look, taking a sneak peek into Liberia Heals. And definitely we'll be setting up future lives to get in more depth, and then see how we can integrate what's going on with these different platforms, and see how we can work together. Shout out to Brother Jaws. I was able to get him a little bit before, but it's late. Who's in Liberia, the gentleman who was in the video. We have folks on the ground there who can, depending on the time we schedule, can be on live with us too. The anniversary of his the wedding is coming up in May, and that may be an opportunity where we can there's going to be a little ceremony. At least we're planning, if everything goes correct. So look out. It's going to be some things to so shout out to everybody. It's the man Putu live and direct, man. Shout out Andy, man, the whole squad. Yeah. So yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'd say we go ahead and end this one tonight, and everybody look out for some more lives and some more information about Liberia Heals, and just ultimately ways to help people around the world. And that is, that's what we're here for. That's what we want to do. So thank you for coming in and chit-chatting with us and giving us some history and some information about Liberia. And I cannot wait to do another live and get more information out of you.
All right, indeed, man. Thanks, Andy.
And I'm gonna say on this live, I'm gonna actually say that the first, let's say 5 people that comment in the live stream of the tire company that is that was from Liberia. I will give you we'll set you up once we get Liberia heals. We'll get you set up with a link and get you into Refer Life, and I will cover the first 5 people. I will cover their first initial 250 CFA. So if you comment in the news feed, the first 5 people that comment the right tire company, we'll get you set up, and I'll cover the first 5 people's 250 CFA to start them out in Refer Life. So I'll leave that there. And guys, it was great. It was great talking to you, and I hope everybody else that's listening enjoyed this live. So we'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Blessings.